So, when you wiped out the cybrids at the end of MetalTech EarthSiege, you thought you could kick back, relax, and wait to see if MechWarrior 2 came out sometime in your lifetime? Well, what you failed to consider was the fact that the game turned out to be a hit. Hits inevitably produce sequels, which is why you can expect to see EarthSiege 2 in stores sometime around the middle of March. Like the original EarthSiege, you're in command of a bunch of Herc robots. The cybrids that you thought you had wiped out have actually retreated to the moon, where they're making a general nuisance of themselves by attacking the Earth. This particular plot twist allowed the designers to introduce a new flying Herc called a resized. Since most of EarthSiege 2's designers have worked previously for Dynamics, the Sierra division that specializes in flight sims, there's been a lot of debate over the Razors. At this point, it still hasn't been determined whether the Razors will use an accurate flight model, or whether they'll feature more of an arcade style. Regardless of that decision, the Flying Hercs will add a new element to the game, since you'll be able to use them in ground-to-air and air-to-air combat. In addition to the new flying unit, you'll be piloting all new texture map Hercs on the ground. The weapons, AI, and damage system have all been upgraded and improved. There will be new terrain and world types with high-resolution SVGA graphics. The game will include up to 50 missions spread over 5 campaigns. 4 of the campaigns take place on Earth, with the finale taking place on the moon. If you found the cockpit in the original EarthSiege to be a little intimidating, you weren't alone. Producer Frank Evers promises EarthSiege 2 will be a little easier to get into.
The major difference is that we were criticized by some people in EarthSiege 1 that it was a little too hard, that it was maybe even a little too serious, and that it was a little too technical. All of those things we have really put a lot of effort into reducing the impact on the first-time player without taking away from the fact that it still is a very in-depth game with a lot of gameplay, a lot of customization, a lot of great missions, really good story.
Evers feels the EarthSiege designers simply tried to do a little bit too much.
What they didn't realize is that, if anything, less is more. And what people just wanted were the key things that they needed to play the game. And if they wanted more, they'll go find it. And so what we've done is we've really scaled back the cockpits so that anybody can just jump in, anybody can start playing, and then if they say, Guy, I'd like to customize my weapons, or I'd like to, really ramp up the difficulty level from, pretty brutal to really brutal, or, gee, I'd like to be flying in the flyer, or I'd like to have this Herc versus that Herc, or I'd like to change my, then they can go and do all that stuff.
Basically, Evers feels his job will have been successful if you're unaware of all the work that went into designing the game.
We're putting a lot of effort and a lot of work into play balancing, so that when you play the game, you feel completely immersed into the game. That in terms of the pacing, the missions, the sound design, the feel of it, there's nothing to jar you out of that experience. And that's an area we're putting an enormous amount of effort, because we are very confident about the other aspects of the game, the technical aspect, the technologies that we're using, the customization, the details, all the different Hercs, blah, 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 blah. What we're trying to do is to provide all of those sort of what we think are cutting-edge technologies to the user in an invisible way.
Like any other action-style game, EarthSiege 2, which will be a Windows 95 CD-ROM title, will probably leave you with the feeling that you should be sharing all this carnage with your friends. There will be a multiplayer version of the game, but it will be a separate release called EarthSiege 2.5, scheduled for a summer 1996 release. Incidentally, when you conquer EarthSiege 2, don't get too full of yourself. Evers warned us that his design team is already thinking about the third title in the series.
What we discover in EarthSiege 3 is that the moon is only one place that the cybrids have managed to inhabit and control. We discovered that they're also out there in outer space. And Prometheus is just a local hack man. And in fact, there are greater forces. And in EarthSiege 3, we will be venturing into outer space